Hey everyone, this is Surya, S. Surya Prakash. This is my channel Makerspace, and today I'm going to show you how I made this table from epoxy. So let's get started. I bought this piece of scrap wood for $100 for my local wood supplier. You could get these for a really less price as they are basically scrap. Measure the dimensions of it in order to fit into the mold. I bought this planner for $250 in my local hardware store. This may not be the best tool, but in order to get the job done was okay. தமிழில் இதை இலப்புலின்னு சொல்லி கேட்கலாம், அப்போ தான் கடையில் இருக்கவங்களுக்குலாம் புரியும். Study your wood, find the beauty that you want to keep and mark the spots that you want to get rid of, because once you pour epoxy on it, every single grain is gonna pop out. Once you get rid of the old surface, you could see the new grain line and the grain structure of your wood. It will be very good once you pour epoxy over it. To my surprise, the other side of my wood had a creepy design to it. It may have occurred due to, I don't know, but it was awesome. I wanted to keep it, so I didn't use the planer to remove the surface of it. I just used a sandpaper to grind a little bit of the surface and let the grains pop out. Then I hit to my local wood supplier and bought some timber wood and a sheet to make the mold. This part of my project was costly, cost around like $1,000, but you can reuse it for your next project, so it was okay. Now to decide the mold, I pre-cut these timber slabs from the supplier itself to the size I wanted, because I was fixed with the size of the table that I want. So the wood piece is gonna fit into the mold. The only part that I should decide is how to fit the wood into the mold. So I have to cut it, and I have to decide in which way I have to cut it. Because if you browse for river tables or epoxy tables, they used to cut it vertically in order to give a river-like structure, but I tried to do something different. So once I decided it, I screwed the mold to the sheet. I used Fevicol to seal the corners of the wood and some sellotapes for longer edges. I had this old saw in my home. by my grandpa like ages ago. So it was pretty worn out and I had a tough time cutting that wood with that saw. So cutting and cutting and cutting. I sliced it out because I lost patience. It really didn't fit into the mold, so I had to sand a little bit. So I used my angle grinder to sand. It still didn't fit, so I had other ideas. Now it's time to seal the mold completely. I used sellotape to seal off the corners, and I also used some polythene sheet to cover the base of it. You should really take time in sealing your mold completely, because if it has even a small spot where epoxy could leak, then the whole place could get really messy. Once the mold is done, it's time to pour the epoxy. For the first batch, I used 500 grams of hardener and 1 kilo of epoxy. I used an old plastic bottle, cut it into two and used one half to measure and the other half to mix. For my first batch, I mixed the mixtures in the ratio of 2:1. That means for every 2 cups of epoxy, you have to pour 1 cup of hardener. Make sure you mix it thoroughly. As soon as I pour the epoxy over the wood, the real nature of the wood pops out and the beauty is revealed. Try to increase the number of batch you pour, because the first batch is supposed to act as a primer, that is to seal the surface of the wood completely and avoid any air gaps and air bubbles when you pour the main batch. For the second batch, I poured the epoxy in the corners of the mold so that I could find any leaks or gaps that I missed out. And I found it. One part of my mold was leaking, and I had to redo the mold because of it. I bought this pigment from Amazon for $400. make sure you use a very small amount of it, because if you put too much of it, it's not going to mix with the epoxy and it's just going to be like glowing sand, and you don't want that, trust me. It takes 6 hours for the epoxy to harden, 12 hours to demold, and 24 hours to completely cure. It's recommended to let the epoxy stay for 24 hours inside the mold, and don't be like me, impatient, and don't disturb the mold at all. Once the mold is done, it's time for the legs, and for the leg I bought some pieces of wood. I asked my grandpa to help me out in cutting these wood pieces, because I didn't have a proper saw to have a perfect cut of corners. There are thousands of ways to join these pieces of wood and form the frame, but he gave me the best idea out of them all. And that's the beauty of doing DIY projects, because you get to meet like-minded people and learn things practically. Once the frame is done, I wanted to polish it to make it even more presentable. So I asked the help of a painter to polish the wood. Like I said, there's thousands of ways to polish a wood. He gave me the best recipe he knew, and he taught me how to polish a wood. I fixed the leg to the mold, and there's a couple of ways to do that, but I did it in my way. Thank you for staying till the end. Hope you guys enjoyed my work, and I want to thank Bobby Dukes for inspiring me to do DIY project. This is my first DIY project. This is supposed to be a stormbreaker, but then I had different ideas, so and that's where it all started. So as far as my experience in making DIY projects, you could buy the materials for your project almost anywhere. You have hardware and stationery shops all over the places. So you could go buy the materials, but then in order to have the right tool to work on your project, that's kind of a nightmare. I personally had a very bad time in finding the right tool. I tried renting it and even used my college lab, but then it didn't turn out so well. So it's my kind of a dream to build a workshop where I would have every power tools, any tools to work, from wood to metals, even sewing machines. And any DIY maker or anyone who is interested in doing projects can come to my workshop, use my tools and space to do their projects. And that's the initiative of this channel, Maker Space. So hope you guys enjoyed it. So until my next video, just chill.